On this Garlic Marketing Show, we're going to talk about how to grow accounting firms and financial firms massively using the right CRM. We're going to talk about how to choose that CRM, why most CRMs fail, and Kristen McGarr, who's an expert as a CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, versus choosing a technologist to install your CRM. We're going to talk about the hidden problem of accountants running million-dollar firms by feel with zero forecasting. We're going to talk about why CRMs fail for accounting firms and how to avoid the $5 million custom install mistake that I've seen happen so much. And we'll talk about compliance, security, and adoption secrets that really work, so you can be growing your accounting firm and not missing those huge clients because you're too busy during tax season. All of this on the Garlic Marketing Show. Kristen, thank you so much for being on.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today and talk to you a little bit more about all this.
Yeah, it's, I think this is, for 99% of the businesses I work with, this is probably the biggest sticking point, is how they manage sales, how they manage their customer relationships, and their inability to forecast because of it, and losing leads, working too much on sales. And it's just, and then they try and dump more marketing into it without having it. And so before we get started, when we talk about an accounting firm growing 35%, a large accounting firm, on average, what do you see as an accounting firm's growth? Because accounting firms don't grow that fast, do they?
No, typically not. No. I mean, most of them, especially when they're really well established, they do. There's more to it. Or sometimes someone just starting out. Obviously, if you have nothing, you're going to go up pretty quickly. But in general, there's not this significant growth because a lot of accounting firms are based upon referrals, and they're not based upon salespeople sitting out there driving business development. It's the same people that are going and doing your taxes are out there selling that to you, right? The people that are delivering the work are out there selling. And so you've got non-traditional salespeople selling, and that can cause challenges with growth for a lot of firms.
Exactly. And I think that, when I work with people, it's either founder-led sales, and so they have no background in sales, or if it's gotten past founder-led sales, it's founder-led sales that have gotten more, like you said, more of those professionals, and then teaching them their sales techniques, and in not managing the sale properly. And I will talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk when we talk about these stories. But before we get started, how did you get into this? How did because you came in from a different path, because usually when we talk CRM, it comes from someone who's a technologist, but you're not.
Correct. Yeah, I'm a fractional chief revenue officer. Sales has always been my background. And as a salesperson who had to use different systems and different things, it was painful, right? And so when I was out hunting for the right CRM for a company that I was working with at the time, I was stumbling. There was lots of options out there, but nothing was good. And so I started working directly with a lot of these CRM companies and helping them build a better system. And this was, 2008 timeframe. So for those of you who have been around CRM systems that long, we pretty much had like HubSpot and Salesforce, and that was it. And all these little guys trying to build something great. And now those little guys have grown into the CRMs that we see today, which is amazing. But being able to be there at the roots as a salesperson and saying, this is what I need. I don't want administrative work. I don't want an extra burden. I need a tool that's going to help me be more efficient in my day-to-day and not create extra headaches for me. And then as a fractional chief revenue officer, as this CRO capacity, I want to see insights. I want to see information that actually helps me make decisions for the business strategically. And if there's not good data coming to the system, I'm never going to be able to make those decisions properly.
No, it's, because I see so many people flying blind with this. They can't make marketing decisions. They can't make hiring decisions, can't make sales decisions, because you don't know what's going to come in, and you don't know what you're going to keep, and you don't have real data. And then which is kind of funny, because it's accountants running their business by feel, right? But when what's the value of, because you also work with other fractional CROs, don't you?
I do, yeah. So I love working with other CROs. Um, they're facing the same problems that I did out there, right? Where they've got a great process and they've got people willing to do the work and ready to go, but no system to support them. And so I love coming in and working with these CROs. We have similar mindsets on what needs to be done. They've already crafted the vision, and now I'm applying that to the technology, selecting the right tool that's going to meet the company's needs, and then going and putting it in place and working hand in hand with them. And the best part is CRM implementations succeed when there's somebody on the inside who cares about it enough to make sure it keeps going. And a CRO is going to be looking at the system every day to make sure that not that, oh, did you check this box? Did you do that task? No, they're going to make sure the pipeline's moving. We're growing our sales. They're going to be looking for that. And that's going to help encourage the sales team to continue using it.
And so in large firms, obviously CRO makes sense. And like fractional CRO we're talking to, but then we're talking about small firms, founder-led sales, getting started out 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 years in business, a couple accountants. Um, why is a CRM important to those small firms?
Yeah. So, a couple of different things that make this really valuable for the small firms is one, um, the smaller you are, when you get really busy and you hit those busy seasons, things drop. It is so easy to just drop the ball or, just miss that message, forget to communicate with someone, and having a CRM that's helping you with this. And thinking that, remember, a CRM is not just a sales device, right? It's called customer relationship management, not sales management, right? This
Yes.
is the full life cycle of the customer. This is everything that we're doing then. So from the time that we're first trying to sell them all the way through the entire life of them as a client. And even, this morning I was having a conversation with someone about sending a message out to all of their past clients, right? Engage with them. They still need to be informed and communicated with. So it's really the entire time that you've known anyone, and that's what you should be managing them in the system. And so it's really important to think about that life cycle there.
And, for a small firm too, the CRM's kind of daunting, isn't it? Like it just feels like another job or maybe they've been sold a bill of goods that they think it's going to be turnkey if they haven't tried one yet. What are, in looking at that CRM going, I'm going to do this. What are some of the big mistakes you see when people are choosing and implementing a CRM?
Mhm. So a big challenge is exactly what you said. I'm sold a bill of goods and I'm not getting it, right? You see these turnkey solutions, you get this amazing product demo, and then you get the software and it looks nothing like the demo. And it turns out that 80% of that was customized or configured in such a way to make it work that way. That can be really challenging. Other times we see these industry specific tools. And while they do have some great aspects that really support the operational side of your business a bit more, they don't hold a candle to a true CRM when it comes to the marketing and sales aspect. And so it falls short in that communication that's really necessary through there. So really making sure that you're finding the tool that's not just designed for your industry, it says, hey, this is the accountant CRM, but it's one that has enough flexibility to work for anybody, but it still really works well for you. And then the second thing I would say is a lot of people struggle because they over automate too early on. Great, I
Mm.
got a tool. It's going to do everything for us now. No problem. I'm just going to flip a switch and, everyone's going to be communicated with and I don't have to do anything anymore. When you over automate a system, people will lose trust in the system very quickly because they're afraid, oh, if I click this button, what 17 actions are going to happen? I don't know. I'm just going to stay away from it entirely. So, really having a phased approach to implementation, making sure people are comfortable with each aspect of it as you bring it in is really key to getting a successful implementation and adoption from your team.
And then when you talk about, with these accountants, the compliance aspect of a CRM, how important is that?
Yeah, so this can really come into play a lot. CRMs are great about notifications and reminders and keeping you on track. It's a great place to be able to track your information, making sure that you're storing it all in one place. whether you're going to be putting your files directly in your CRM or simply linking to it so that you know where everything is to easily have. There's certain periods where for your clients, they have quarterly activities that they have to do, perhaps, right? If you're delivering tax work to someone, they've got to have their quarterly payments sent out. Getting those quarterly payment reminders out to people, if you can automate that, that's going to save you a lot of just administrative time that you weren't necessarily saving before. So little key components like that help not only your firm stay compliant, but also help your clients stay compliant are really valuable.
That's great. And what about, having the security in there? Like how do you figure out which is the most secure? Obviously, they're dealing with clients' financial data and, cross-referencing a CRM and internal systems. What do I want to look for there?
Yeah, so there are some really great information on most CRM systems out there about their compliance. And so there are systems that have hit, good HIPAA compliance standards for the medical industry. There's ones that have great compliance standards for the SEC that meets those needs. There's little stamps, things called SOC 2, SOC 3, and they just keep going. They're adding new compliance standards all the time to make sure that your system stays safe. So it's really just going and in almost any one of these systems, you can type in the word compliance and it should give you a whole page with all the stamps of the different ones that they have. And if it doesn't meet those needs, that's something that definitely I would look in a different direction. And also be aware that, there's certain systems. We run into this a little bit less in the financial space, but a lot more in the medical space where they might say they're HIPAA compliant, but then they'll recommend you integrate by using a third party tool. Well, it turns out that third party tool doesn't have the same level of compliance as your CRM system. So as soon as you make that integration happen, you've just lost your compliance. So just being very careful in any of these regulated industries that we work in, we just have to be mindful of what we're connecting into our system so that we are making sure that our client data always stays protected.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's important. It's scary if you don't do it right. And if someone's trying to figure out, like if it's an accounting firm and they're trying to figure out like what's the best CRM for me, we'll talk about how you do it and get it implemented in 30 days, but they're trying to figure out the answer to a lot of these questions. What's the best way to connect with you and get those questions answered?
Yeah, so it's really easy you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we actually post regularly out there a lot of information for accounting firms, just tips and tools that you can use along the way and pick up, whether you've already got a CRM in place and you want to start to implement some of these practices or you're looking to get started. There's a lot of answers on our LinkedIn account out that. But at any point in time, people can just email us at support at adroitinsights.com and that gets you right over to us. And we're able to just answer questions. And one of the things that we love to do with our clients and our partners and anyone else we meet is we just provide video information, right? Sometimes it's hard to find time on calendar to connect with somebody and you just have a quick question. We love putting together 30-second to 3-minute long videos and shooting them over to you with answers. Helps you stay informed, helps us serve you quickly. And it's really just a great way to make sure you can get the information you need versus pulling through hours and hours of YouTube videos, trying to find that little 30-second snippet with the answer that you're looking for.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. And you have an awesome YouTube channel. So we'll put a link to the LinkedIn and your YouTube channel down below. And so, folks, if you're thinking about CRM, not sure where to start, this is why, we had Kristen on, is because it's so important. I cannot tell you how much it's helped some of our clients to implement CRMs and do it the right way too, because, I have found, and that's why I love having Kristen on talking about this. When you have someone that's too technology heavy, you might do the wrong things first. If you don't know sales and they don't know sales, it's not the best combination. So Kristen, getting back into that, when choosing the CRM, okay, I've chosen the CRM. What are some of the keys to a great implementation? Like what are some of the keys? And we'll talk about at the end how you get it done in 30 days. But what do you find is the biggest keys to the implementation?
Sure. So the first part is making sure that all of the people that will be involved in using the CRM have some level of buy-in, right? At the end of the day, if they don't want to use it and they're not putting information in, you're never going to get out what you want. So we start by conducting interviews with the various team members that are going to be in the system. Now, obviously, I'm working with a firm that's 250 people large. We're not going to interview every single one of them, but we are going to interview team leaders, key stakeholders, administrative support, those people who are really going to be heavy users in it and then can help support the rest of the team. And the reason why we do this is we want to understand what is their day going to look like and what's going to make that day easier, right? And so we'll talk with each of the various departments, right? We'll talk with the people who are delivering the tax services, audit, accounting, bookkeeping, right? Talk with everybody and understand, because each one of them are operating in a slightly different way. What are they using right now and what do they need? And then we look at, great, now that we understand where the firm is at, we're going to go and put together the roadmap of what this implementation will look like, right? What do we need to get started right away? And then what do we know is going to really benefit them in the future that we want to add on to that vision? And we'll map that entire path out with those detailed requirements. And then we're going to start implementing. And all along the way, we're making sure that we have a champion inside the organization that is going to be helping to spearhead this effort. Someone slightly more than a cheerleader, right? We need somebody, that's great, but we need someone who's going to be involved in the technology, be able to support people when they have questions. Obviously, we're here for that, but generally they're going to go to someone in-house. And that person that's really going to be able to come back and say, hey, I think that's a great idea. Let's make a pivot. Let's change in the system. And understanding that just because you built an automation and you came up with it during your requirements gathering and you put it into place, if it's not working, change it, right? Nothing's set in stone. We can pivot, we can change. So if you are 6 months down the line and because of the growth that you've achieved, something needs to happen differently, let's make it happen differently, right? That's the whole point of a flexible CRM system. And when I tell people, be careful not to get trapped into a system that's so narrowly focused to where you are right now, because you are going to grow if you do this right. And when you grow, you're going to need something more and different than where you're at right now.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. I mean, growth. Yeah. Planning for change. And this can seem a little daunting. And this is why we hire someone who's an expert. And it's amazing that's set up in 30 days. Cause I know I've spent like 6 months and, you dive down deep and then you watch all of the videos that some company has provided you on their software, and none of that stuff and none of that training really is relevant to your business. And now you're an expert in a software and not actually using it.
Very
that happens a lot, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, unfortunately, that will, right? Because you really go down this path of like, I've got to understand it all, I've got to know it all, and you're putting this tool in place, and it's not effective. Sometimes it's because the wrong software was selected, and a lot of times it was just the nature of how it was implemented, right? It's, I can open up any software, really, most of these big ones, and there's 3 to 5 different ways to go about doing the same exact thing. That can be complex. That can be overwhelming. One of the first things that we do when we talk about this 30-day implementation, the reason why that's possible is because we have gone and we strip out all of the excess from the CRM, right? We don't delete it. It's not gone. We just hide it, right? We put it away because you don't need it right now. And we only focus on the aspects and the areas you need right now. So you can get in the system, get comfortable, and get working on it quickly. So you can get off of that spreadsheet that's causing you so much time and so much headache, right? And now you're in a cloud-based system and the team can work together and you can get some great reporting. Now we're going to start flipping on other switches and turning on other aspects within the system as you're ready for them, because no one is ready on day one for what their system has in it. Most people have been working in their systems for 5+ years and are maybe using 30 to 50% of it tops. So why put all that stuff in front of you at first? Why cloud yourself with it? Most of these systems are not intuitive out of the box. To make it easier, not only do we streamline this all for you, but we also provide videos step by step, each way that you need to go. You need to create a lead, here it is. You need to convert a lead, here it is. You need to create a deal, this is what you do. You're going to move it through those pipeline stages, here's how it happens. And these are 30 to 60-second little sound bits that help you understand exactly how to do something. You're not having to go rewatch a 2-hour training video. And the coolest part is, as your firm's growing, you need to bring on new people. You don't want to have to train someone on the technology just so that they can do the work on the business. You want to train them on how your business operates. The system supports that because we build it to match your process. And now you can come in, show them the videos, and they've got a much cleaner understanding on how to do business the way that you do it.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, that's it's it seems pretty straightforward, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen it that not happen. And you end up with a tool that no one uses. I'll be honest, I worked for a massive company with 168 salespeople, and the opposite is what happened, right? No one knew how to use it. No one knew how to implement it. They're like, you got to do this, you got to do that, and no one did it. And then, $5 million later, I mean, this was a long time ago. They built out a completely custom system that no one used. So, and I think that's the thing. It's like, we'll talk about small firms, but big companies, this happens a lot to big companies. And, if they don't have the right CRM in place with these large accounting firms, we'll talk about this company that grew 35% in a short time with your help. But, what is the problems that it's causing when they don't have this? Like, what are the big problems?
Mhm. So generally on a larger firm, you are going to see that they have some level of marketing component, right? They're going to want to be doing some level of lead generation. Oftentimes they're doing different webinars. They're hosting different events, and all of these are bringing in new potential people, right?
Yeah.
Well, as they're doing this, what happens next, right? Marketing, if marketing is not getting key insights into what's going on with those leads, like how effective they were, they don't know where to keep spending their time and their energy, right? In order to help you get more leads and grow. How nice is it if just these wonderfully warmed leads show up on your desk and you can simply make one phone call and they're sold, right? Marketing can't help you get there if they don't have the information necessary. So that's a big aspect with these larger firms that's really important, to have the system for that purpose. The other part of it is a lot of times we wait until the last minute to add a lead into the system, right? To add that deal in. Oh, they're ready to sign. We've had 3 or 4 meetings. I'm going to go ahead and drop them in the pipeline so I can, move them over and get that credit for them. By doing that, it's amazing the number of times that one, the sales cycle has been lengthened unnecessarily. And two, some people have been dropped. So by putting a CRM system in place, you get those 2 wins. One, fewer people falling off, accidentally dropped off the map, right? Because they're in your system, you're seeing them in your pipeline. And when you go to your pipeline meetings, which a lot of these larger firms are holding, it's going to come up. Hey, why is this one still sitting here inactive for 3 months, right? We got to do something with it. But in addition, because of that, because it's all visible from day one, from the first time that you got that initial referral or that lead came in and you're looking at it and talking through it, these sales cycles are getting shorter. And that's really, really key to getting the growth for these companies.
All right. And so we covered your CRM foundations for your accounting firm. In this next episode, we'll talk about large firms that use their technicians, their people doing the work as salespeople, how to actually get them to adopt a CRM, why it's important, installing sales systems so they don't have to feel like they're selling can massively increase not just the number of deals you're closing, but the quality of the deals and the duration of the clients. All this on this next Garlic Marketing Show as a part of this 3-part series.